Good morning. How are you this morning? My gosh. I've been gone for a day. And it feels like forever since I've been on chat. I mean, it is something else. Live streaming is fun. One of these days I'm going to do a live stream fun chat where I just sit here basically and try to get through an hour without having any notes or anything like that. I'm not that good yet. I think it's a fear that I have that I won't have enough information for everyone to provide some sort of compelling content. So I've always been a little bit afraid of, just going out there and talking for an hour off the cuff. I think I have a framework on how I would do it. I would just have to have, certain things to talk about. And then just go on. But anyway, look, did you miss me? I know this has been a rough week for you. It's been rough for me too. I've got some things going on that aren't negative in any way, but I just am not able to get on a consistent schedule. I don't know if you can see my eyes, but I mean, these are not the eyes of someone that is, the most calm and relaxed person there is. I have a lot going on, and I'm sure you do too. And so, in that sense, thank you for taking time to watch it. I know it's 4/22/2022, which would be April. We don't have any consecutive live streams. I didn't live stream yesterday. And, wow, that's all I have to say is, wow, what a world in which we can have this technology where I can broadcast to you. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. The only problem is, finding time to do it. Now, I have that other live stream I do at night, Our Nature of Employment, which I really, really like. And I feel kind of bad. I don't think I can't do it every night. I just can't. I get tired. I just run out of steam. But I'm still going to keep doing it because I like it. I'm just not going to do it every night. So, at 10:30 this morning, am I thinking about doing a live stream again at 9 tonight? Yeah. Will it happen? I don't know. So, lots to discuss on the show today. We'll go over interest rates. We'll go over our cough in the microphone. Sorry about that. We'll get a drink. There's like a cough pause button on like major productions, or at least productions better than mine. But I don't know how it works, and so I haven't done it. If you notice that my voice is lower today, it's not on purpose. I'm just tired. I'm just tired, and I don't want to scream into the microphone. Well, sometimes I get animated and excited, and then there's days like today where it's just not going to happen. There's not going to be this yelling and screaming, I don't think, but you never know. But anyway, so let's get back over what we're planning on going over today. So we have a Google search trends article. I think I'm going to have an interesting take on that you might enjoy. We've got listings in Denver, Colorado, luxury home listings in Denver, Colorado. Pretty excited about that. We've got two articles. Hopefully, I want to get to both of them today. They're juxtapositions. There's one, a straight article that says, there is a housing boom and the Fed has noticed it. And then there's a second article that's an opinion that says that there is no housing, there's no housing bubble and everything's fine. And I don't know about you. What I think what I'd like to bring to you in this thought is that things happen slowly. And by that, I mean, like, let's look at cause and effects. Let's just assume, for the sake of the argument, that Joe Biden has some impact on energy policy, and that it can be either advantageous to the country or it can be negative. Let's just assume that. I don't want to say that I don't have a comfort level in knowing how much anybody has control of anything. So, but let's just for the sake of this argument, let's do that. So let's say he enacts policies that are harmful to the price of gas that the consumer will pay. Okay, let's just assume this. We don't know. We're not. And again, this is just a small example. Well, it's possible that when he announces these plans, that the market for oil and gas responds within minutes of his decree or his statement. But it's also possible that while it could be what they would say baked in, it could take months, weeks, years for these policies to have the intended effect of raising oil and gas prices for the consumer, even though right that day it doesn't happen. And to me, this time, the difference between when one makes policy and then one sees the policy through is it a bug? I don't know. There's something about it though that's very vicious, very vicious. Like let me try and put it in a different context. So like, let's assume that you work for an organization and they call you in on a Friday afternoon and they fire you. Okay. They don't like your performance and they fired you. Well, that's immediate. You've just been fired. Let's say you're a better example. Let's say between cause and effect. Let's say you're driving your car and you are distracted and you drive into a telephone pole. Well, you immediately have been, you've immediately gotten the effect of what you've started. But these, I would say, macroeconomic issues do not solve themselves in a day. There's no feedback loop. You make this policy, it could be ridiculous. No one knows what's going to happen 6 months from now. You could make 7 other policies in the meantime, and it would cause even more consternation. So, and like, you look into like, I'm not going to win any math contests. Okay. But you look at probability and statistics and you say, well, if the world is, like all these things, okay, all these options, and you make these different choices, how many possible outcomes can there be? And we're talking, I don't know, whatever more than trillion is of possibilities just by one particular motive. So what I'm saying is if you don't get that proper loop, you don't get the cause and effect, it's not so great. And that's why, as a real estate agent, I feel like it's important to work with my buyers and sellers in the marketplace so that I get feedback loops. And you say, well, what kind of feedback loops do you get? Well, like, let's assume that I have a good marketing plan. Okay. And let's assume I get a call from a referral. And then when I go, let's say for a listing, and then I go on the listing call and for some reason it doesn't work out and I don't get the listing. Now, cause and effect. I worked to get the listing and I didn't get it. So there's something that I've done wrong, at least on my half, that caused me not to get the listing. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I wore the wrong clothes. Maybe I drove the wrong car. There's something that I did that I didn't get the listing. If I was 100% responsible for acquiring the listing. Representing a buyer, if I write an offer like I did maybe 2 weeks ago for a $400,000 house that ends up with escalation clauses for over $475,000, and I wasn't near that number, then we know that that house was either very popular. We know that I have to make a better offer on another house, things of this nature. This is not a complaint. This is why I think that it's important that as I go forward, I continue to work with buyers and sellers when I'm talking about real estate matters, because you have to have some sort of skin in the game. Now you say, all right, maybe, but what about your other live stream, the nature of employment? Well, I think that's intrinsically linked with the brokerage, because we have really maybe two employment options to work for a brokerage. You can be a salaried, hourly. You could be salaried. Well, you have three. You could be salary, hourly, or you can be 1099, independent contractor. Those are all employment categories, and I need to wade through those as I run the brokerage. Now, do I have any skin in the game when I talk about big pharma and how they pay their scientists? I don't really have any skin in the game for that, but I can apply what I've got in my real estate brokerage, and I can apply it to this particular space. And especially to me, I know it sounds wild, but it's more of an entertainment thing. I like employment issues. I think that we are people first, okay, and then we are employees. We are something. The employment that we have signals who we are. I think some people didn't like that, and so they started doing virtue signaling, which is, I am so much better than you, and here's how I'm showing it. And everything I do is virtuous, and therefore I cannot be attacked in any way for anything. And you should shower me with praise. I mean, okay, whatever. But the employment thing to me is a fascinating mess, because I never wanted to be pigeonholed into what it is you do. Like, so what do? You're an accountant. Okay, you have a great idea of what you're a real estate agent. You have a great idea of what that is. But maybe I'm not either one of those things. I'm an MBA. Maybe you're not. I mean, that's not a profession. You see how it's just interesting. I'm a social worker. Okay. It's just like, I'm a doctor. One of the things that I really enjoy is, like, if you say you're a doctor, then everybody automatically assumes that you're the best human being ever. Like, you would never, ever, ever, ever operate on someone just to help make some money, help buy the Ferrari. Like, you would never, ever prescribe drugs to someone just to help with that car purchase, or the second ex-wife has really been annoying, so maybe we get her, move on from her, and we need alimony funds. Like, I love the perception versus what is. Sometimes they're pretty accurate, and then sometimes they're just absolutely insane. Regardless, let's look into things today. It's a chill stream. Don't kid yourself. I am just I'm tired. I don't know. Let me just tell you about how things went, because I think it's important. I think we can learn something from this. So I went on a college tour yesterday. It was in the state, but it was we live on the east side of Missouri. The college we were looking at is on the west side of Missouri. I won't give the name of the college out of compassion, and I don't really want you to know exactly where I'm going at all times, but let's just say I was on the west side of the state. Now it's a long drive, and we had very many, the wife and kid have many, many commitments, and so we chose to go one night, stay the night, and then come back the next day. So we went to the university. We walked around. My child chose this university to look at because of the financial package she was given. And then when we went there, when we went over the numbers, those numbers were not the same as the one she was given. They had included loans in the financial package that made it look like she was not paying anything for college, whereas she was actually paying like $20,000-$30,000 a year in loans. And one of my requirements for any kid in college these days is you don't go. If you have to be in debt to go to college, you don't go. And the reason why is because the lenders and the government have conspired to keep people indebted in poverty for the rest of their lives, no matter what job they choose. And I just don't want to be a part of it. And I don't want my kids to be punished that way. Now you could say, John, well, you should just pay the entire tuition, then they won't have to worry about it. I don't think it works that way. You can, right? For each their own. Go ahead and do that for your kid. I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with the whole situation. So anyway, what in that story did I want you to know about? Well, I want you to know about what I would consider a lie, and what an institution would consider a lie that actually teaches courses in ethics. I think that's rich. Half of the program for the incoming freshmen is talking about ethics and how we conduct ourselves in an ethical way. How we we have to be ethical. That's the number one thing. As a human, we have to be ethical. And so here it is, this university fighting for students across the country has decided to be very unethical in the way they present their finances. Now, what is worse to me? Like, I'll just go, let's say a university, let's say that there was such a thing as a normal university, that in 2022, that normal university would be one in which there was no ideology being spread. Okay. The goal of the school was to learn a profession, or learn the foundational principles for a profession, and to prepare you for your job, your employment. Let's just assume that existed. It doesn't, but let's just assume. Okay. Then, if the institution said, "Hey, the amount of money you need to bring to the table is this," and then you come to the university and it's different, well, that would be a bad thing. Okay, it would be bad, but it's not nearly as bad as an institution saying, "Hey, we're very ethical. Ethics is a very important part of our school. We're going to preach to your children how to be ethical. Oh, and then, by the way, we pulled this very unethical practice, but it worked. We got you on campus, right?" I don't know if anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, and that's okay. I just wanted to get it out there that I am not putting up with it. I'm not. Now, in my real estate business, do I try to be ethical? Yes, I've actually been accused of being unethical. What's fascinating to me is as a real estate agent, you should always put your clients before you. It doesn't mean you do something illegal on their behalf. Understand? Okay. But there's often been times where I will advocate for a position for my buyer that may not be my position. I don't find anything wrong with that. When I was accused of being unethical, it was because it was an odd thing, because they were themselves being unethical in the first place. They were not following anything close to the contract, and they were just accused. They used the remember, we talk about safety when infallible position is always safety, and so they thought that if they brought up safety, we would just cave on a massive repair bill, and it was like, no, that's not good. And then we said, get that out of the offer and write us a new one, and we may be able to get this under contract. And they refused, and so it didn't work out. So we were unethical. But I don't see it that way. I don't see that. I mean, you can call someone unethical and then it not be unethical at all. But what I saw was a bait and switch by the university, and I thought that was highly unethical on their part, especially when you want to talk to me about ethics and you want to tell my kid about how important it is to be ethical. This is a microcosm. This is the exact example of why the world has gone absolutely batshit crazy, and we're just spinning around. You asked. Oh, you didn't. Never mind. So anyway, how are we doing today. How are you doing? You kind of know how I'm doing. I wouldn't say I'm fumbling through a live stream. I'm proceeding with a certain level of caution today. A bit of quiet reservation, which is, if you've seen enough of my shows, you know that that's not always the case. So I'm as impressed by it as you might be, to be honest. So, what do we got going on? It's Friday. I have 2 showings tonight. I don't know if we'll write any offers. Tomorrow I have some showings. Tonight I'm going to meet with a potential new buyer client, just on the phone. We're not going to meet. We're going to talk on the phone, and I hope to be able to help them in their search for a new home. I hope that we can work things out. It's always a process to get started, but I like doing it. I just like it. I like meeting new people. I like when people are buying houses. To me, it shows like there's some sort of a positive thing happening in their life. You don't buy a house every day. And I enjoy being a part of it. So anyway, let's get going into the main show. I might be a little bit early. I might not. I think this first article that I saw on Google Trends with Google Trends is interesting. This came out yesterday, and I'm a little bit out of shape. So I didn't have it. So did you see this headline? It says Bill Murray under investigation for inappropriate behavior after film set shutdown. It says Bill Murray is in professional purgatory. Filming of the 71-year-old SNL legend's upcoming movie, Being Mortal, has been suspended after a complaint was reportedly filed specifically against the actor alleging inappropriate behavior. The bombshell was dropped last week and production was temporarily halted on Monday, according to Deadline. On Thursday, however, the film was ceased indefinitely amid an investigation into the Ghostbusters stars on-set actions. Now, I in full defense, I have read this article, and I feel like I have an opinion at 44 years old that we're going to go through because let's accept the notion that times have changed. Okay. Let's accept the notion that sometimes things that were considered appropriate at one point in time may not be appropriate now. But I didn't change the rules. Like, it wasn't me who made any of these rules. I typically, if you know me well enough, you know that I typically try to shy away from, intentionally poking at people or anything like that. That's just not who I am, or groups. But, if someone, I honestly, I don't even know the rules anymore. I've not been given memos on a number of different topics to know what the right answer is. So I'm basically living in confusion at this point in time, but let's go through this. It says, after reviewing the circumstances, it has been decided that production cannot continue at this time. Searchlight Pictures wrote in a letter issued to cast and crew, "We are truly grateful to all of you for everything you've put into this project." Now, an allegation is not a conviction. And this is one of the problems that I have with everything. This person is alleged to have done this. This person is alleged to have done that. I don't even know if, I just don't know. I don't know. You have to start somewhere. I don't know. So it says, principal photography began last month on Being Mortal, which was written by controversial comedian Aziz Ansari, who is also directing and co-starring in the film, along with Seth Rogen. Ansari and Rogen reportedly are not part of the investigation. So now we have an allegation, but we don't even know exactly what the allegation is, and we're trying to now figure out who it could be. And they've decided that it's probably not Ansari and Rogen. So that's tough. The Post has reached out from comments for representatives from Murray, Ansari, and Rogan. Murray is one of America's most beloved actors, but the Groundhog Day star has a long history of making enemies on the sets of his TV and film projects. Now, is it possible that perhaps actors are strange people? I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, is it possible that their boundaries and their art produces a individual that is not real big on norms, right? Maybe bending the rules here and there. I don't think a saint. I don't think they've got saintly behavior. They seem to be, a lot of them, kind of stuck, like kind of woke, kind of using that for their advantage. So anyway, let's continue. It says, I like Bill Murray, by the way. I thought his performance in that movie with Scarlett Johansson was one of the most really amazing films I'd ever seen. And I'm not even using hyperbole on that. I thought Groundhog Day was wonderful. He's been in a lot of the movies, like The Life Aquatic. I thought that was good. I forgot what the other movie was that he was in, but it was with the same director, who I can't remember. And this is how bad it is. I mean, people make fun of the president for being totally out of it, and he may be, but as I get older, I don't have everything remembered. And if you can see my brain right now, it's just firing trying to figure out that name of that movie that he was in. But anyway, yeah. So I want to say it's Truman, but it's not. It's not Truman. It's see, now this is where I need an active chat. Where are you, chatters? Help me figure this out. Rushmore. Thank you, not chat. I got it on my own. Okay. Okay, so it says, back in 2000, Murray famously fell out with co-star Lucy Liu while filming Charlie's Angels, with Liu claiming Murray made inexcusable and acceptable comments to her on set. Now, it says back in 2000, Murray famously fell out with co-star Lucy Liu. It's 2022. That was 22 years ago. Charlie's Angels co-star Drew Barrymore also addressed the incident last year in 2021, saying what really happened was Bill was just in comedians can be a little dark sometimes, and he just came in a bad mood. Well, not just comedians. Like, people can come in a bad mood anytime. We're people. I think that's where I've found the most disconcerting, way of life is there's this idea now that everything is like exact and precise and perfect, and people aren't. And that has never. I'll just try to explain it. If you've ever seen a hockey game, there used to be one referee and two linesmen. Okay, and sometimes they'd miss calls. They'd have their head turned one way, and something would happen the other way. Okay. Then the NHL, in its infinite wisdom, got two referees. Okay. Then they started calling every single infraction, and they'd miss those too, and they'd call them, and they were stupid. It was just terrible. And the idea is now that two referees are out there, everything will be caught and everything will be perfect. It wasn't. They're never going to go back to one referee, because what nobody wants to say is that one referee allowed for you to have a flow in the game. I mean, you have to call the most blatant of blatant penalties, but come on, like a whack to the leg, that's probably not a slashing penalty unless you have two referees, and now it's always one. Now, if you take your tomahawk, two hands on the stick and just whack somebody, all right, that's slashing, but not in the third period. They have to be near death to get a slashing call in the third period. But I was okay with that. I don't know about baseball. I haven't been watching in a number of years, but the umpires in there, balls and strikes, depending on what umpire you had, would be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're just nothing close to what you think it should be. The phantom play at second base for the double play, the phantom tag. I mean, these were things that were totally fine. Now my understanding is baseball is considering or has moved to automated balls and strikes. Let's take out some more intrigue of the game. We have replay now. Sometimes, you know what? If you missed a call, you missed a call. In 1987, I believe it was, the Royals and Cardinals played. A terrible call, terrible blown call, benefited the Royals. Did it change the series? I don't know. Maybe we lost as Cardinals fans. It was bad. It was bad. But it was part of the game. And look, I'm talking about it now. If a computer were to have made the right call, we'd never talk about it. So anyway, point number one, we're not perfect beings. And anybody that thinks they are a perfect being, good for them. Good for them. Now, I'm not apologizing for bad behavior. I'm reading this and it says inexcusable and unacceptable comments. I don't know what those were. I don't know. So it says, meanwhile, Charlie's Angels director, Mick G., additionally claimed that Murray headbutted him on the set of the action flick. Square in the head, Mick G. told The Guardian in May 2009. That's 11 years ago. An inch later, and my nose would have been obliviated. Murray vehemently denied the claim. That's bullshit. That's complete crap, he responded in an interview with the Times of London in October of 2009. I don't know why he made that story up. He has a very active imagination. So now think about that. Now there's a story written in the paper that says he's a bad person. He headbutted this man. He says he didn't. Like, who knows, right? But this is from 2011. So we've got something 20 years ago. We've got something 11 years ago. Let's continue. Elsewhere, Oscar winner Richard Dreyfuss described Murray as a drunken bully who allegedly threw an ashtray at his face when they worked together on the 1991 film What About Bob? Now we're going 30 years back. 30 years ago. Okay. I'm just doing the math here. 30 years ago, I was 14. He put his face next to me, nose to nose, and screamed at the top of his lungs, "Everyone hates you. You are tolerated," Dreyfuss recalled of the incident in a Yahoo interview in June of 2019. Now, I've never heard someone be screamed at with the words, "You are tolerated." I don't even know how that would go. "You are tolerated." It just doesn't make any sense. It says, there was no time to react because he leaned back and he took a modern glass-blown ashtray, he continued. He threw it at my face from only a couple of feet away, and it weighed about 3/4 of a pound, and he missed me. He tried to hit me. I got up and left. So he's been yelled at, and he claims he has been yelled at, and he had an ashtray thrown at his face. Well, that would suck, right? I mean, I think it sucks. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Meanwhile, the film's writer and producer, Laura Ziskin, told the Los Angeles Times in 2003 that Murray made threatening comments to her. 2003. I can't do the math on that, but it's a little bit after 2001, which was 20 years ago. So let's go with like 18, 17 years, just off the top of my head. Ziskin once said a disagreement between them resulted in Murray tossing her into a lake, although she called it playful. Okay. It says, then this quote here doesn't make any sense. It says, Bill threatened to throw me across the parking lot and then broke my sunglasses and threw them across the parking lot, she told the publication. Back in 1978, okay, I am 44 years old. I was born in 1977. Murray infamously got into a physical altercation with comedian Chevy Chase on the set of Saturday Night Live. According to the book, It began with the two trading insults. Murray told Chase to go have sex with Jacqueline Carlin, Chase's then wife, while Chase childishly retorted that Murray's face looked like something Neil Armstrong landed on. It quickly escalated into a physical dust-up witnessed by cast members Jane Curtin, Lorraine Newman, and Gilda Radner. Newman described the fight as very sad and painful and awful during a June 2021 appearance on Watch What Happens with Andy Cohen, who is from St. Louis and therefore has a blank check to say whatever he wants to, because like I told you, celebrities in St. Louis, from St. Louis, are gods, and he's one of them. Anyway, Murray also said to have had a physical altercation with longtime friend and director Harold Ramis on the set of 1993's Groundhog Day. I graduated from high school in 1995. I remember Groundhog Day. Ramis allegedly grabbed Murray by the shirt collar and threw him against a wall in a heated creative dispute. Well, that seems like Ramis attacking Murray. Ramis's daughter, Violet Ramis Steele, revealed in her 2018 book, I didn't read that one, I didn't catch it, Ghostbusters' Daughter, Life with My Dad, Harold Ramis. God, was that a New York Times bestseller? Because I'm thinking no. Anyway, that Murray wouldn't speak to his old pal for over 20 years. She said her dad tried not to take it personally, but he felt heartbroken, confused, and yet unsurprised by the rejection. Just before Ramis died in February 2014, Murray managed to reconcile with the actor. Well, that's good. That's good. I don't know if he knew the time was coming or what, but it's good. Anyway, meanwhile, Murray left the screen legend Angelica Houston. It may not be Houston, but it's how I pronounce it. I'm sorry. Hurt when he failed to invite her to a dinner party while filming The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Can you imagine? You are a screen legend at a movie and you are not invited to a dinner party? Oh my God. You know what? You know, throwing ashtrays at people, headbutting people, calling people names, screaming at them. You are not tolerated. That, you know, I can handle. But if there's a dinner party and I'm not invited to it, now that is the one thing that is a pattern. That is unacceptable that we don't invite people to dinner parties. The first week I was there filming in Italy, we were all in this little hotel, and he invited the entire cast to go and have dinner except me. Houston told Vulture in May of 2019. I was really hurt, she continued. And then I think we met again in Florence because that movie was shot all over Italy, and we were doing a scene at Gore Vidal House in Ravello, and Murray said, "Hey, how have you been? I've missed you." I said, "You're full of shit. You didn't miss me." He looked all confused for a moment. However, Murray and Houston later made up with the Lost in Translation actor. That's what it was. Lost in Translation. That was a wonderful movie. Actor showing up at the funeral of Houston's husband, Robert Graham, in 2008. He couldn't have been nicer that day. He showed up. A lot of people didn't. So I don't understand. What's the point of this? Like, after reading this, it almost feels like a hit piece. I'm not going to lie. Bill Murray under investigation for inappropriate behavior. So here's what I'm understanding. Okay. There's a movie. They stopped filming because Bill Murray was under investigation. Now, who's investigating this? Like, in what way? And how are they doing it? For inappropriate behavior. Now, we don't know what that is, but we've gone 40 years of this man's life, picked out what I would call the low moments, and said because of those moments, he is clearly guilty of inappropriate behavior. It seems a little silly to me. It is just, the whole thing seems a little silly. Like, he may have done something terrible. Like, he may have, but we don't know. And the speculation is, I would say, reckless speculation. So anyway, 100,000 people thought that was interesting enough to search it on Google. Well, Google Trends picked it up as a trend. So that's that. Let's go look at mortgage rates. It's 5.38%. This is the Deerwood Realty website. And I did want you guys to notice I have a new buyers page and I have a new sellers page. And that's me. I don't know if you can see me. Oh, you can't see my head. Well, that's terrible. Let me see if I can move it down. I can't. You literally can't see my head, but believe me, you can. That's me. That's my head. I promise. Anyway, let's get back to the homepage, because on the homepage you can find something that I find very difficult to get from my lenders. Lenders, I say, what's the rate? They're like, oh my God, good credit or bad credit? I say, good credit, 30-year fixed. They say, oh my God, I don't even know. It's like, stop with this. I know what you're doing. You're trying to sell me a rate, right? Oh, but I'd have to disclose it. It's like, no, I'm not asking for that. So I stopped asking them at all. I have this on the website. It's a survey. It says that the rates today at 30-year fixed is 5.38 cents, up 11 cents from yesterday's 5.27. Now, what does that tell us? Can I go in and get a mortgage for 5.38% on a 30-year fix with good credit? No, you can't. There's some percentages built in there, basis points built in there for the lender to make some sort of profit over time. You may not like that. People making profits. I have to tell you that since I run my business on profit, like I invest in the business based on its profits. Profits are very important to me. And that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, I have to make a profit to keep the business going and growing. You say, well, John, just don't grow. Well, believe it or not, even if you just don't grow, you're still going to put out cash monthly, actually daily. But anyway, 5.38%. Above 5, not good. If it goes to 5.5%, 5.7%, that means a mortgage will be over 6% retail. Yeesh. Not good. Not good at all. Let's continue. Did you ever know what luxury homes are going for in Denver, Colorado right now? Like what's available? I've been to Denver. I love Denver. I have a degree from the University of Denver. Am I the best? Am I the most knowledgeable Denver person? No. I have friends in Denver as well, real estate people. But anyway, let's just get to it. There's 3 houses here, one for $10.9 million, one for $10 million, and one for $5 million. Now, what I wanted you to see on the just the very first part, if you can see it, is if you look at the just the square footage alone, we got 11,000 square feet, we've got 10,000 square feet, and then we've got 5,500 square feet. That's significant. The lots are all the same. They're also all modern homes. The first, what I would say, classic home comes in the number 4th listing on Cherry Street, which, if you've been there, cool. All right. That being said, let's get started. Now, you know what I think about modern homes. As far as like, I'm not very. I'll sell one, I'll list one, but I don't really get it. This house, built in 1999, 5-car garage, 5 beds, 5.5 baths, 11,885 square feet on a 1/3 of an acre lot. 50 pictures. That seems like a lot, but let's pretend that it's not. Let's pretend that it's perfect. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Here's property history. When is this thing last sold? Well, 2019 it was listed, and it hasn't in these records shown that it was sold. Now, does that mean it's been sold? We don't know. It says public record though in 2004. Anyway, property details. Much like homes that are found in Aspen, but we're not in Aspen. We're in the Denver area. The Hamptons and St. Bart's. This modern marvel is a rare opportunity in its surroundings. Oh, interesting. It is poised on over 1/3 of an acre in Cherry Creek North. Now, Cherry Creek is a very nice little place to hang out if you ever go there. Some great restaurants. The home was conceived and designed by architect Michael Knorr. The contemporary design is so precise that it is timeless by nature. An open floor plan gives way to a comfortable flow that translates well for a couple or entire family. Upon entering the home, one cannot deny the quality and craftsmanship that went into the build. The materials, along with how they were placed throughout the property, speaks volumes to the intent of the home in total. That is such a garbage sentence. From the his and hers dueling offices to the incredibly functional pagan pole kitchen and to the placement of the family media room, it was all well thought out. Well, I would hope so. This guy's supposed to be a good architect, you say. In a period of time where one seems not to be able to acquire everything they are looking for in a home, wow, that's a hell of a statement. This is an example of the exact opposite. This home was created with functional and beautiful outdoor spaces, from the alfresco dining deck to the tranquil koi pond courtyard, as well as 5 private parking spaces with a snow melt system built in. Oh my God. Alongside the 5-stall heated garage. Oh, you actually could park 10 cars if you wanted to. The interior also provides space for relaxation, therapy, and tranquility. A massage room, a yoga room, and a 2-story state-of-the-art gym, complete with a rotunda cool-down juice bar under a glass dome. Privacy and light penetrate this stunning home on entry level, along with every room. The street and block in which this house sets is truly one of the most desirable in Cherry Creek North. Well, I mean, now you got me. Now I'm ready. Let's buy this thing. Only $10,987,000. $987,000. Wow, that is just timeless there. Ugh. Why are you listing this house in the winter? What's that about? Ugh. So it's nice, right? If I had $10 million, am I buying this house? No, because it requires $10.9 million. So I'm $900,000 short. I sell houses sometimes like they're in the $150,000 range, like the whole house. And so this here is a little bit kind of not really my wheelhouse. Like in any way. I don't even like it. I'm just going through the pictures hoping to be done with it. And that's ugly. I don't care how much you spend on it. It's still going to be ugly. All right. Well, that wasn't really the best house for me. Let's try this one. 10 million. 7 bedrooms, 8.5 baths, 10,268 square feet. 3-car garage built in 2017. Property history. Well, it was sold listed in 2022. Property details. A spirit of contemporary bliss moves throughout the astounding hilltop home, crafted by Nest architecture with 30-foot high ceilings, a layout that lends itself to both lively, entertaining, and quiet seclusion. This home is a courageous mix of artistry and precision. The sunlit atrium welcomes you inward, intersected by a bridge connecting the 2 distinct sectors of the home. The main floor encompasses spectacular space for entertaining, including a gourmet kitchen and dining room and unrivaled outdoor oasis. The main level primary and secondary floor suites are located in separate wings, granting seclusion and privacy. Beams of sunshine pour through a vast sunlight, luring you upward to the 3rd floor, featuring an office, flexible loft area with a kitchen, an incredible terrace space with sweeping views. Each blissful space in this home is united by melodious materials. Well, now, anytime there's a listing with melodious materials, I know I feel better. And an abundance of light, perfectly complementing a backyard escape, the convenience of a heated lower level driveway and garage. Well, golly, I don't know. I was on the fence. There was this house just over Just over in Cherry Creek North, it was like 10.9 million. And they're like, hey, look at me. We're contemporary. And I got a designer. Now they've got this one. We've got, what is it, a Melodious? I don't even know. I got to look back. Melodious Materials. That's 40 pictures. Let's take a look. I mean, look, if somebody wants to buy this, as somebody did once, I mean, what are you going to do, right? And I don't mean that as a negative. It's if somebody wants, if this is what the people want, you give them what they want. And this price is signaling that somebody wants this. Oh, they got an elevator. That's all I really care about. You could have just put in there Melodious Elevator and I'd have been good. I say, John, is it a nice house? Yes, it's a nice house. Can't argue that it's not a nice house. Beautiful. It's just contemporary, which is not a negative to some people. And it's just not where I'm at. Especially in a neighborhood where they're not all contemporary. If you see that house there, that's a traditional house. House over on the left is also a traditional house. So now it doesn't fit in with the neighborhood, which, you know, I think that matters. All right. This is a stupid picture because it doesn't give me the scale of the house. I mean, it looks like there's more house there. Anyway, who am I, right? I'm not listing those kinds of houses. Oh, let's go to the next one. Finally, another modern home. And what I want you to look at with me is the price. The first two houses were over 10,000 square feet. This house is not. It's only 5,600 square feet. $5,850,000 for this home. It's still on the same lot. We can say that. We don't know where it is. The house was built in 2011. 3-car garage. Been on the market for 16 days. I'm not even reading this. The last one was so pretentious that so smug that I'm just gonna look at it like this. Let's keep going. Here we go. You know, it's a house. And at some point in time, you have to understand that it's a house. You live there. That's nice. I think that they've got a lot of mixing spaces mixing outdoor spaces with interiors, and that's great. The kitchen's wonderful. No argument there. This is a bathroom. I don't understand how the faucet works there, but whatever. You got a gym, pool table, nice. Yellow room. Interesting shower. It was nice. I don't know. Is it a value at 5.85 million? I'm not really feeling that. Let's get into some articles. Now, this is the juxtaposition. I'm going to try and get through it. I know I'm going to run late because I guess the Bill Murray article got me. But let's get into it. So it says this first one. There's an ad right there. It says signs. This is from CNN. Signs of a housing bubble are brewing. This is written on March 31st. It says U.S. home prices have soared to new heights and keep on climbing. And now some researchers and economists are saying they've seen signs of a housing bubble brewing. Just now, home prices are rising faster than market forces would dictate they should. Always question like someone that says that the market is moving more than it should. and are becoming unhinged from fundamentals, according to a new blog post written by researchers and economists at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. Well, there you go. These people are not like in there. By the way, this says mortgage rates, but it's where my face is. Maybe you can see it there. 30-year fixed is 4.47%. You go to the mortgage company right now and tell them you want a 4.47% mortgage and see what you get. You laugh in your face. I showed you what the real number is. Don't be fooled by bad advertising. Home prices, until recently, the possibility of a bubble wasn't widely supported. But after looking at housing markets across the U.S., the Fed researchers said new evidence is emerging. Now, do you trust the Fed in the United States? The Federal Reserve Board? Do you trust them in any way? I don't. Just so you know, I have no trust in their ability to do anything. Partly because they have an important function, but they're ruled by politics. And politics is a mess. This is my opinion. Please don't at me. Anyway, our evidence points to abnormal U.S. housing market behavior for the first time since the boom in the early 2000s. Reasons for concern are clear in certain economic indicators, which show signs that in 2021, housing prices appear increasingly out of step with fundamentals. Many Americans are still scarred by the last housing crash in 2007, which was fueled by cheap credit, lax lending standards that resulted in millions of homeowners owning more in their homes than they were worth. Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. I just noticed that my t-shirt is coming out of my sleeves. It's not good. That's kind of weird, I have to say. This is the first time I noticed it. I'm sorry. So you can believe that. I lived through it. I just hit the microphone. I'm sorry, because I was putting my shirt back in its sleeve. I'm gonna have to do something about that tonight. I'm gonna use this shirt for showings. If you see me tonight at showings, I'm wearing this shirt. But this time, let's not get into that one in 2007 so much. Cheap credit, like, let's be honest. Like, if you think that a mortgage at 2% isn't cheap credit, you're crazy. And as far as lax lending standards, if you think that the lending standards are any better now than they were, whatever. We just don't call them subprime mortgages. And you still have to have that credit number. But anyway, just because home prices are rising wildly does not always mean that housing is in a bubble. That's true, but in this case, I think it is in a bubble. And there are lots of reasons why home prices have risen steadily over the past decade and shot up even more significantly in the past 2 years, including supply and demand imbalances in this market. And I will say supply and demand imbalances in this market caused by Wall Street fat cats that are investing in single-family homes throughout the country. And I believe that has caused the major problems. And then we can add rising labor and construction costs and how high or low the interest rates are for a mortgage. The researchers point out, but they said prices may be rising to the point they call exuberance, in which prices become increasingly out of sync with the economic fundamentals underpinning the market. One possible reason is that buyers may believe prices will continue to climb and fear they will miss out on snagging a lower price on a home now and get stuck paying more later. I don't know about that. Fear of missing out, or FOMO, can drive up prices and heighten expectations of higher prices ahead. That can create a self-fulfilling prophecy, researchers said, in which price growth can become exponential. The consequence of housing market exuberance can include overpriced homes, investments based on distorted expectations of returns, and reduced economic growth and employment. The cycle is interrupted when policymakers intervene, spurring investors to become cautious and causing the flow of money into housing to dry up. This could cause a housing correction or possibly even a bust, according to the blog post. The research recommend policymakers and market participants closely watch local markets for booms in prices in order to better respond before misalignments become so severe that subsequent corrections produce economic upheaval, which they will. Bubble brewing, the behavior of home buyers and sellers over the past few years has been anything but normal, researchers point out. Prices are at record highs and continue to move higher because there has been a record low inventory. Still, home buyers keep buying. Interest rates fell to record lows during the pandemic, but that does not alone explain the crazy housing market frenzy they say. That's right. Also, here we go. Other factors have played a role in pushing the market into bubble territory. The Fed researchers wrote, including pandemic-related stimulus programs and COVID-19 supply chain disruptions and associated policy responses. Our own government is causing this. The researchers specifically highlight the role of investors who are aggressively buying up homes. That's right. Here we go. Investors now buy 33% of the homes in the U.S., which is a 5% larger share than the average over the past decade. The businesses of iBuying, in which a company buys a home for cash to slightly fix it up to resell it again, is only 1.7% of the national housing market in the last quarter of 2021, according to Zillow, who tried iBuying and failed miserably. But in some cities, the share of homes going for high buyers is as high as 11%. Yes, they're doing that here in St. Louis as well. The researchers found that as prices have risen, signs of exuberance have emerged. The U.S. housing market has been showing these signs for more than 5 consecutive quarters, going through quarter 2021, they found. Fed researchers also looked at the relationship between home prices and rents. They found that since 2020, the home price to rent ratio has rapidly skyrocketed, what market fundamentals can explain, and began showing signs of exuberance in 2021. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the Fed caused this, and they're also reporting on it or producing their research on it. So it kind of makes you wonder. Another indicator the researchers examined was the ratio of home prices to disposable income, which is closely tied to affordability. The home price to income ratio is increasing quickly, but not yet exuberant. They're full of it. They're full of it. A lot was learned from the last housing crash, which has led to a better early detection and warning indicators of housing bubbles. If these concerning trends continue, banks, policymakers, and regulators ought to be better equipped to quickly react to avoid the most severe negative consequences of correction. Well, if you started the thing, okay, and now you're supposed to turn it off, you shouldn't have even started it in the first place. In addition, they wrote, there's no reason to expect any resulting correction would impact homeowners or the economy as significantly as the last housing crash. Americans are generally in better financial shape. Homeowners have stronger equity positions, and excessive borrowing is not as rampant as it was in the mid-2000s. So you say. So you say. I mean, I don't agree. Well, let's move on. So the article here is, hey, the Fed noticed that things are a little out of whack, but it's the Fed and they'll fix it. Now we have an opinion piece. Opinion, housing prices are still surging, but a bubble doesn't seem likely. Last week, we learned that housing prices grew rapidly yet again in January. The widely followed S&P CoreLogic 20-city home price index was up 19.1% compared with January of last year. A blistering pace, especially considering that the growth was on the top of the 11% plus growth rate reported for January 2021. It's highly anomalous for housing prices to rise over 32% in a span of 2 years, so the trend is causing some economists to start worrying about a possible bubble. Well, I would just say this, like, really? Really? It's unusual? Like, how many times has this ever happened? That's enough to make anyone it says in the chart below, you can see the acceleration in prices that occurred over the past year and a half. The growth rates we are now seeing exceed those immediately preceding the great financial crisis. That's enough to make anyone a little nervous, especially now that mortgage rates have risen nearly 5% from a low around 2.7%. Now, this article was written, or this opinion was published Thursday, March 31st. I'm a little bit behind sometimes. I'm sorry. I just still think it's very interesting. But there's one big difference between today's bull market in housing and the one that ended so badly more than a decade ago. Generally speaking, we are not seeing the kind of speculation that was so rampant back then. That's hilarious. We don't see investors buying multiple condos with the expectation of selling them at a large gain within a matter of months. And we don't see the critical ingredient that made this flipping activity possible, which was the ready availability of credit on easy terms. That's right. What you did was you took out the mom and pop investors that speculated on real estate. You took them out. You went out and shot them dead. And in their place, you took institutional investors that had even more money to spend at even lower rates to go out there and buy houses. I mean, my God. Fortunately for all of us, oh goodness, the trauma of the GFC was enough to teach banks and regulators at least a lesson that they won't soon forget. Shady lending practices to include very small or even no down payments, adjustable rate mortgages, which still exist. And by the way, you can get mortgages without a down payment. So that's a lie too. Mortgages without proper documentation, I don't know, teaser rates, pay option arms, and inflated sales appraisals are now not contributing in any meaningful way to the strength in housing prices we were now seeing, because it's off the freaking rails. It's a bubble. And more critically, there's only a very limited market for bonds backed by subprime or Alt-A mortgages, keeping origination activity for unqualified buyers limited as well. You guys are in for a big surprise coming up. The strength we are seeing in today's housing market has a much more straightforward explanation. Rather than a speculation and easy credit, there simply has been a large mismatch between the supply and demand for housing. And why is that? And that mismatch is especially pronounced for lower priced entry-level homes. On the supply side, it's become fairly obvious that new home construction has been far too low since the GFC. It's understandable that home builders would be skittish in the years immediately following the collapse of the housing market, but the construction deficiencies have endured up through present day. Some of the factors include a severe shortage of labor, supply chain disruptions, rapid inflation in raw materials, and land shortages driven by zoning restrictions and land use regulations. I agree with all of those reasons. These headwinds to more rapid construction have only intensified, and so supply is likely to be constrained well into the future. This chart shows that the current pace, there's only 2 months of supply available for sale. Now, what I would tell you is this. The investors on Wall Street are taking up the demand. They're driving the demand. They're driving the demand. The growth in demand for housing, which has accelerated materially in just the past few years, is related to several factors as well. The first and foremost obvious factor is a large demographic segment. The millennials are reaching an age when folks typically buy homes. Some millennials had deferred home ownership until now due to inadequate incomes or savings, but now the job market has improved. Many are deciding to take the plunge. A second factor is the trend to work from home. I think that is a factor, which many believe will be a lasting legacy of the COVID pandemic. Given that these sources of demand are highly unlikely to abruptly reverse, it seems that demand is likely to remain elevated well into the future. All that said, today's bull market in housing would not have been possible without the artificial suppression of interest rates by the Federal Reserve. Bingo. The heavy dependence on ultra-low mortgage rates creates a problem now that mortgage rates are rising. Exactly. Housing affordability is determined by three things: household incomes, the cost and the availability of financing, and housing prices, although that seems like four. But it says three. It's three. Household incomes, the cost and availability of financing, and housing prices. All three of those inputs have been rising, but increases in the last two, the decrease affordability, are more than offsetting growth in the one that increases affordability. You can see in the chart below that housing affordability has already dropped quite significantly from the highs in 2012 to 2013 to the most recent reading for the fourth quarter in 2021. And a lot has happened since the end of last year. We suspect that with the continued increase in home prices this year and the big surge in mortgage rates to nearly 5%, the affordability reading for the first quarter of 2022 is going to be much lower. Yeah, they're not affordable. The homes are not affordable, meaning anyone in any sector has trouble buying. Not like this set-asides for the, not those. Home prices and strong demand are obviously good things for home builders. As you can see in the chart below, home builder sentiment is quite elevated right now, but the increase in home prices and spike in mortgage rates, coupled with the relative dearth of listings, has led many prospective buyers to throw in the towel. It's hard to argue with that, but it's critical to remember that if the number of listings remained as depressed as it is now, a much smaller number of willing buyers is needed to keep the house prices going up. Interesting. So it says the housing sector is very important to the U.S. economy. Artificially suppressed interest rates undoubtedly pulled forward some home price appreciation, and the massive appreciation of home prices to date will unfortunately lock some prospective first-time buyers out of the market. But it's hard to see any sort of crash similar to GFC. Demand is simply too strong while supply is too limited. Again, what if investors are causing the demand? When will they stop? They will stop when they believe their returns are not good. What will they do? They will dump their homes. They will not sit around and play. This is my opinion. But I gave you two different views. Hopefully you found some of that informative. I don't know. I have, like I said, I have a new buyer calling me this afternoon saying, I'd like to go buy a new home. And I'm going to tell them, hey, we're in a shitty part of the market right now for buyers. Okay. It's going to be hard. Okay. You might buy a home and in 5 years, it might not be worth what you paid for it. We don't know. But if you have solid reasons for purchasing a home, i.e. the start of a new, a new chapter in your life, you're looking forward, you're an optimist. I understand buying a home now. I'm not telling home buyers not to buy homes. I'm just telling home buyers to be careful when they buy their homes and understand up front that we're in a historically strong market for sellers. That being said, what did we learn today? Well, we learned that you can have different opinions as to the causes of your housing bubbles. You can have different opinions as to the beliefs of the future of a housing bubble, percentages of that happening versus not. We can talked about Bill Murray, who has 40 to 60 years in Hollywood, 40 to 50 years in Hollywood. And at times he may have been a not fun person to work with, but we don't know. It sure seems like that was a hit piece that we read. And let's see, what else? We looked at luxury homes in Denver, Colorado. How do you feel? I know I went late today, but how did you enjoy the show? Did you enjoy it at all? Did you watch it? Well, if you did enjoy it and you did get this far, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. I know it sounds weird that I would ask for you to hit the subscribe button because YouTube is generally based on the amount of views you get and not the amount of subscribers. Well, because I have less than 1,000 subscribers, I'm not allowed to do super chats. I'm not allowed to do much anything but produce content. So in the future, I'd like to be able to produce content and I'd like people to enjoy it. I'd like people to see it, and I'd like to be a YouTube partner where I make like a couple cents when someone sees an ad in one of my videos at some point, which doesn't happen very often. And I don't expect to make $1 million, but boy, if I could just subsidize my creative goals, that would be good. I would accept that. That would make me happy. So that being said, if you could hit subscribe, I'd appreciate it. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to me. I'd like to get to 100 subscribers by maybe my birthday, which is in June. I'm at 66 subscribers right now. I did catch one this morning. Thank you for that. And anyway, that being said, I'm going to head on out. Thank you for watching. I should have some more content for you tonight, this afternoon. I just don't know yet, but I'm working towards that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Definitely tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time here in St. Louis, wherever you are, I'm not sure. But thanks again for watching, and